Hi, my name is Gursharan, and I support the Monetization Reliability Engineering program here at Meta. I'm here to share with you today on how we have been able to improve the reliability of the monetization stack by making data-driven engineering and culture changes. This is roughly what we will cover today. We'll take a brief look at the advertising at Meta landscape. We will then talk about how analytics has helped us drive investment decisions on the program. We will then double-click on one of the levers of reliability we call prevention. And lastly, we will talk about how we have been able to bring about culture changes that have helped us land good results on the program. Let me give you a brief overview on advertising at Meta. Advertising at Meta forms more than 97% of our revenue. We operate consumer products that are used by billions of users and creators every day. More than 10 million active advertisers use the platform to sustain and grow their businesses and reach their potential users and consumers. And more than 3 billion daily active users use the platform for their social needs every day. And that form, the user base that these advertisers can reach out to. Overall, across the billions of users and millions of advertisers, we see an enormous scale across all our surfaces on our apps, vis-a-vis Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and web. Before we delve into the reliability of the ads platform, let's do a quick overview of the overarching objective here. The goal of the ad system is to maximize the total value from ads for our advertisers and users. This factors in the pricing economics, user engagement, and the quality signals as we receive them from our users on how useful they find our ads. Together, these three parameters help us derive the total value that we measure ourselves against on how we are doing as a platform. A recent study independently done by UC Berkeley concluded that every dollar spent on the platform drives more than 300% return for the businesses. This economic flywheel forms $500 billion worth of economic activity and creates millions of jobs in the industry. Let's get into the next level of detail on how advertising works. So advertisers use what we call Ads Manager as an interface to create the campaign, the ad, select their audiences, and essentially configure their how they want to do their overall spend. Once configured, a complex ads machine runs the process of auctioning and serving these ads, including fetching all the data that is required to make these ads meaningful and useful to our users, and then running these ads through a complex ML stack to rank them in order of relevance before finally serving them. Once these ads are served to our users, advertisers can then see signals on how these ads are performing and how they're able to derive value from their spend on the platform. We call this the ads measurement interface. Behind this complex machine, there is a lot that's happening. And now we'll get into how we keep all of those components reliable at all times. As we saw briefly earlier, ads is a complex machine comprising of many different systems operating at a large scale. And the complexity in reliability stems from many things like the sheer scale or QPS supported by these systems and services, a heterogeneous real-time large-scale ML stack, a multi-region data center presence, since we want to be close to the users and reduce the latencies that they see, and the dependencies and interconnects between these complex systems. Any reliability or stability issue across any of these systems affects advertisers' experience directly. And these advertisers, which range from small businesses to large ones, can see an impact right away. As an example, we had a site event in November 2018 where the advertisers were not able to create ads on the platform for a good window of time. And given it happened during the holiday season, it had an impact on many businesses who depend on the platform. Another thing that makes reliability complex is that we guarantee privacy and our data commitments on privacy at all times. And the way this data flows through our stack, the traceability of this data and how it flows through these systems with respect to the privacy guarantees that we offer is of paramount importance to us. So this definitely adds another layer of complexity to ensure that these systems are being reliable while guaranteeing the user privacy commitments. Lastly, we have thousands of engineers who work on this platform, who enable these product offerings every day. And this geographically dispersed team of engineers committing changes, we want to ensure that we find the right balance between velocity so we continue to offer great products to our users along with reliability. So there's constantly evolving product offerings and development on the platform without necessarily slowing down the development is another one of our optimization parameters and criteria. At this point, I will hand it over to my colleague David, who will now walk us through how data analytics guides our investments in reliability.
Thank you so much, Gurshi. My name is David Amsallem. I'm a data science manager here at Meta, and I would like today to talk about the value of analytics in being able to solve this problem. So when we started this work, we found out that actually SLAs, system level agreements, were being used as a measure of reliability across our ad systems. This was actually a very helpful measure for engineering team, but presented for us a couple of challenges. The first one is that it was not super clear for us how we would map improvements in SLAs to the actual impact on the business. And for two reasons. One is that every system might have multiple SLAs, and then improvements in the say 10% reduction in SLA violations for system A may not bring the same business value than system B. So the approach we took here was to focus more on reliability failures, which is site events. It gave us a couple of advantages. First one is we could quickly identify hotspots across our suite of services and identify where to focus our efforts. The second one is that from an investment perspective, it gave us a more direct comparison with other investment that we're making across the organization in terms of product development and make ROI-based decisions. And then finally, it also helped us set up different SLAs for detection and mitigation of issues based on the business impact for advertisers. So I'm going to now focus on how we use our analytics tools and measurement to be able to identify levers and focus our efforts. So as I mentioned before, advertiser value that is lost as a result of reliability issues is the main metric that we want to reduce. If you look at this metric, you can actually decompose it in three terms. The first one is the instantaneous impact from the issue, which we could call burn rate. And then you can look also as the time it takes for us to mitigate the issue, which can be further broken down into phases. One is the time it takes to detect the issue once it starts, and then how long it takes us for us to mitigate it. And then based on that, you have now the three levers that we can consider. The first one is prevention. So how can we reduce the burn rate as much as possible? So, if you can prevent the issue from happening altogether, this is, big impact. Or you can try, if the issue is still happening, you can try to limit basically the blast radius for it. Then, in terms of detection, here the main levers for us are better monitoring of the health of our systems, be able to forecast how our system should be operating, and basically having alerts based on that. Finally, in terms of mitigation here, obviously we want first to be able to triage the issue to the right team so that they can take action, having the tools to be able to analyze the root cause of the issue very quickly, and then revert the issue itself. Now I would like to deep dive in terms of how we approach the detection problem. So as I mentioned before, here we really want to reduce the time it takes to detect the issue. And so we use a three-layer approach. The first one is obviously at the system level, we will have the right monitoring in place to catch a majority of the issue in real time. However, sometimes this is not enough, and so we also need a more centralized monitoring of the outcomes of our ad systems that can help to tell us and detect the issues that have the fastest burns in our systems. And then for some issues that we call slow burns, this is where it usually takes more time for us to detect them because they're more subtle in our system. And this is where we invested in having more ecosystem level monitoring dedicated to catching these issues faster. I'm going now be deep diving in terms of how we focused on this problem. So we first realized that the majority of the advertiser value that is lost as a result of SEVs was as a result of slow burn SEV. And even in this case, even before we were able to detect the issue, meaning the issue was lingering in the system for hours or days, for instance, before we were even able to aware that something was off. And so this is where we started investing in monitoring specific metrics that would allow us to be able to detect these issues much faster and reduce the magnitude of this impact. We took the approach of looking at more ecosystem level view of our ads ecosystem, and then building dedicated metrics and health assessment for each of them. And then for areas for which we know there's a healthy state or we have some suspicious, then we have very quick investigations to be able to mitigate those issues much faster than before. Now I will pass it on to Gush, who will talk about the value of prevention.
Next, I will share with you on the prevention value. As my colleague David shared earlier on detection as a lever, prevention plays an important role in keeping the platform reliable. Reliability work can be broad. How we prevent reliability issues from happening on the platform comprises of many different teams and areas coming together to make it happen. So to make it a bit structured, we look at prevention investments in two buckets. One is what we call horizontal investments, and the other is area vertical investments. Horizontal, as the name indicates, are substrate investments across areas and are broadly applicable to our systems. Example is ML reliability, dependency interfaces for production resilience, safe change rollout, and testing. Vertical investments, on the other hand, include investments in reliability on specific ads systems, namely the ad serving system, the data platform, optimization products, and specific ML systems and storage reliability. We measure the ROI of investments pretty tight to ensure that all work is directed to a clearly defined outcome. Site event learnings drive short-term investments and short-term ROI for us, so we better our systems and address gaps swiftly as we see these events. While the long-term prevention investments, in addition to addressing gaps, provide systematic solutions to bend the value loss curve over a multi-year horizon. Next, I'm going to share with you a bit more on three of our horizontal investments on reliability as part of monetization. I'm going to share with you on testing, ML reliability, and production resilience. Testing, generally considered a good engineering practice, follows a more intentional structure here within monetization at Meta. The two key pillars during development are pre-commit and production testing, which take the shape of code path-based testing and functional integration testing. Configuration testing, because we treat configs as code, configs can have a more immediate effect on active production system. So we like to do configuration testing before configs roll out to all our data center. And lastly, A/B testing, which focuses on measuring the efficacy and intended product outcomes of changes that are made on the platform. Another dimension to testing is that it needs to be done across development artifacts in backend code, mobile, front-end, data, and ML. The second key pillar on horizontal investments is ML reliability. ML reliability is a somewhat less talked area in the industry, but it has seen prominent investments within monetization at Meta last few years. The very first thing within ML reliability is model snapshot validation, which is about ensuring that continuously trained ML model snapshots are healthy for serving production traffic. Feature corruption detection, which ensures that all good features end up in serving of these ads as these models are rolled out. Training data quality ensures that good data, healthy data gets into the models as we train them. And lastly, ML interpretability, which essentially gives us the confidence that these models are tractable and the decisions and predictions they are making are well monitored. Another dimension to ML reliability is on the different stages of ML development, from the exploration phase to model development and model rollout, the time to launch. So we continue to increase and improve the value that the platform has to offer to our advertisers, and the advancements in ML technology, which have over the last few years increased the model size significantly for us. Lastly, on the horizontal investments space, we have the third pillar as production resilience, which is a work stream that aims at operating the production stack reliably by service autoscaling and resource management for availability and elasticity, proactive disaster readiness, preparedness, and graceful degradation of functionality in case there is a disaster, and dependency resilience, since we leverage many common infrastructure components across the company. To conclude this section, I will share with you a prevention success story in model validation. As I shared on the previous slide, one of the key problems within the ML reliability space is model validation, also called model snapshot validation. It's a hard problem since we roll out many ML models every day and ML technology is constantly evolving. At its most frequent cadence, models are rolling out every few minutes. And modeling techniques constantly evolve, and data from various sources flows into these models, making it challenging to ensure reliability without being very cautious, which essentially means we slow down development. Even one model out of these thousands of model versions that go out can affect the ad system severely. And then it affects the advertiser outcomes that customers on the platform are essentially looking and optimizing for. To address this challenge, the team built a novel solution in an ML control loop that essentially monitors and evaluates prediction quality at all stages and acts swiftly to keep the model snapshots healthy. This actually helped us bend the curve of losses due to ML models being unhealthy from hundreds of millions of dollars to less than $10 million earlier this year. This is testament to the work that the team has essentially done together in order to address one of the largest challenges that we have seen in the last couple of years. I will now hand it over to my colleague David, who will walk us through what culture changes we have been able to bring about that have helped the outcomes on the reliability program.
Thank you, Gursharan. So far, we talked about 3 different levers to improve the state of reliability. The first one is issue prevention. We talked about faster detection when issues happen, and then we talked about quicker mitigation as well. However, there's a fourth lever that actually was key for us to make improvement in this state, which is really creating a culture of reliability across our organizations. So for us, as we invested more resources and more effort through the year, it appeared that we really need to have this clear accountability across teams, more ownership, and empowering teams to really deliver more reliable systems along the way. Having also clear incentives from the leadership as well as from other teams, and recognizing also the successes was another key aspect. But as team made improvements over time, it was also very important for us to provide a long-term view of where we wanted to get in terms of the state of reliability for monetization. So we created a North Star that actually team could use to know how we are progressing towards it. And, as we get closer and closer, being able to basically celebrate successes along the way. So recognition for us was another key aspect, and being able to really focus also and recognize when we prevented issues from happening that could happen in the past was really key. So what's next? Since this program started, we improved reliability of our system by more than 50%, but things are not done yet. Just maintaining this state requires investment, and it's a permanent top priority for our teams to have optimal state of reliability. We do have hundreds of engineers who are continuously investing in preventing issues, creating better detection mechanisms, and improving our ability to quickly mitigate issues when they happen. Finally, we want to focus also in empowering developers to even move faster. In this context, where giving them the tools to develop faster and be able to assess risks in real time and make decisions in terms of launches that are aware from the reliability perspective. So what are the takeaways from today's? First one is that reliability is key to enabling advertiser value. For us, focusing on business outcomes really helped us align incentives and increase investments towards that regard. The third one is that having a data-driven analytics approach and really highlighting hotspots really enable us to have laser focus on investing in better prevention, better detection, and quicker mitigation of issues and moving the needle. And finally, along the way, creating this culture of reliability across the organization was really key to success. Thank you so much for your attention.